it up a little bit.
Okay, chat. You go to the chat.
How do you see the questions?
There aren't any. People have to post on the comments. So.
What do you mean they post on the comments?
So we are live now, so it is recording. So people will be able to watch this later.
Okay.
But there should be comments on the right of the page, and as people post.
All right. So can I see the live link? I'm just curious.
Yeah, just go onto the link.
Can you send it to me on Slack?
Yeah. Streaming is bad. Are you on the main network or the ivee network? Okay.
Slack?
Yeah.
Who's that? Stan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it sounds like we have about 6 people watching right now. I'm sure there's a chat to the right of the window that you can actually ask your questions. Okay, so it sounds like we have about 6 people watching. I'm sure there's a chat to the right of the window that you can actually ask your questions. Hey everyone, this is Jonathan here with Ivy, and we have Ben and Jim here as well. It looks like we have about 6 people who are currently viewing right now. We want to encourage you to use the chat to the right of the window so we can communicate through this kind of format. We wanted to first begin by just thanking you for being here, and we're happy to answer any questions that you have about the the existing product, and about the new product. And so this is your opportunity to ask us questions, and we'll be happy to answer them for you. So we'll begin to open it up, and we can see your questions being posted here, and we look forward to talking to you guys right now. Well, looks okay. It doesn't seem like we have any questions. So we're happy to talk a little bit about the new product, and kind of the inspiration of it. We actually moved from Los Angeles to San Francisco in January. We were accepted into a prestigious accelerator called 500 Startups. And we kind of leveraged this opportunity coming up to the Bay Area to focus and take all the learnings of the existing product to focus on the new product. And so basically we went through a complete redesign, redesigned the hardware, the software. We added a few new team members to the team to build this new product. And we worked very closely with an industrial design firm by the name of Whipsaw. And we worked closely with them to actually design the new product. So everything's focused around voice, which is why we named it Voice. So the whole design looks like a microphone coming out of the product. And it allows you to do some unique things that the original ivee couldn't let you do. So, for example, there will be an app. You can create what we like to call voice scenes. So one of the features allows you to actually define a scene name. So you could say, for example, movie time. And movie time would do several things and run kind of a macro command of things all at once. For example, like turn down the blinds or turn on the thermostat to certain degrees, turn on the TV, change it to a specific input to actually turn on the movie time. Question, is there a way that I can program it to wake me up in the morning during the weekend? Yeah, so there yes, you can. How can I see these questions, Jim? I'm not getting the questions.
If you go to the page, you can see them on the right, but I'll also post them to you.
Okay, I thought I was in the group chat right here. So here, let me try to click on that link again.
It's not in that group chat.
Okay. Can you send me the link one more time so I can?
Sure.
Oh, I got it. I got it. Yes, you can. How can I see these questions, Jim? I'm not getting the questions.
If you go to the page, you can see them on the right, but I'll also post them to you.
Okay. I thought I was in the group chat right here. So here, let me. Okay. I just repost me the question because I can. It plays it twice. This isn't the best system, but we're gonna make do with it. To not make up in the morning during the weekend. So currently, there's the question is there a way that I can program it to not wake me up in the morning during the weekend? So on the new product, you will be able to program it so that you can have it set an alarm for a specific day or a period during the day. So that won't be an issue. Are there any other questions? Okay. So I don't think there are any other questions. So we can talk a little bit about the existing ivee. So the existing ivee is going to continue to be supported. We eventually plan to migrate the current ivees over to the new platform that we're building. Jim, actually, who's on the line, can talk a little bit about the new platform and kind of some of the new features about the technology and how the accuracy and speed are improved dramatically. Jim, do you want to talk a little bit about the technology that's powering the new ivee?
Sure. So with this is I'm Jim Cortez. I'm one of the lead engineers here at ivee, and what we're trying to do with the next product is really try to fix some of the issues and architecture issues that we had with the last product. And so one way we're doing that is we're changing the way that we recognize your voice. So in the old ivee product, we used what was called a local grammar. So our servers would generate, essentially it was a list of commands that you could give to your ivee, and it would push that down to your actual device. Now the problem with that is that it was very slow and it did not update very quickly. So that would cause some issues in the recognition. It was also much more difficult to add a new recognition system. So if there was a different accent or something like that, it would not quite scale properly. So in the new product, we're actually going to be using everything in the server and kind of moving things out of a local device and up onto the server. And in our tests so far, that's actually given dramatically better data and results than we've seen with the old ivee. But I think, Jonathan, maybe if you want to kind of go through, go through the old product, talk a little bit about what the experience was like with the Kickstarter campaign and launching, and kind of what we've been up to over the last year.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So, the Kickstarter was a tremendous experience for us. I mean, we learned a lot about what it took to number one, launch a product, get it built, market it, eventually get it on the shelves at retail, and even out to the backers. And we learned a lot through that whole process of what it takes to actually do all those things. And so we took all those learnings and now we are rolling them into the next generation ivee. And so, do we have another question, Jim?
No, we'll just go and keep going. We'll get some questions lined up, and then we can kind of go through them as they come in. Okay.
And so, as I was mentioning before, we kind of, in the original hardware design, we learned that there was definitely some things that we could improve on it, and in order to improve it, we had to redesign the hardware. And so that's what we ended up doing when we came up to San Francisco, and this new hardware device is actually now launching in next Tuesday on Indiegogo. And through the process, we were also selected to be on a new docuseries TV show called The Bazillion Dollar Club, which kind of walks through the life of a startup going through an accelerator. And we talk about raising money and burn rate and acquiring angel investors and getting a team together. And so, and that's going to be a real exciting thing that launches on September 22nd. Yeah. So the old product it was built on a system that that's a little bit. It was built on AT&T's technology, and AT&T speech recognition technology was based on a grammar-based system. So we realized that we needed to move it over to a more natural language system. And so that's one of the major changes that we successfully have done with the new product. Some of the other things too that went wrong with the older product is the trigger didn't work that well. The Hello Ivee trigger just inherently is not a good trigger. Since then we're replacing it with OK Ivee. OK is a much better word than hello as far as recognition goes. Yeah, happy to answer any other questions about the what went wrong with the older product. Well, we can, and we're going to look into it, updating. The question is, why can't you update the existing Ivee Sleeks to work from the new server? That's a very good question. So one of the challenges is that we actually outsourced the firmware to another development house that was working on it, and so they are responsible for owning that code base. And so our plan is to eventually work with them to migrate that over to the new server, but we're not 100% sure that the existing hardware will work well with the new server. We plan to basically get the existing platform up and running with the new hardware, and once that's stable and working well, we're going to then start to look at going back to the old Ivee Sleek devices and then migrating them over to the new platform. So it's definitely still top of mind, and we're definitely not going to leave the old Ivee Sleek owners in the dust. But right now we have to focus on this new product, and then go back and make it backwards compatible. So the question is, what about functionality when a network connection is dropped or not available? Happens sometimes on the current Ivee Sleek. So that comes down to the might be the antenna issue. So we have since then, one of the things we learned a lot about is Wi-Fi going through the first Ivee Sleek process. You can't rely on the antenna on the module. We actually have to add an external antenna that attaches to the module on the board. And we actually did that in a later iteration of Ivee Sleek. And so the new product is actually going to have an external antenna in the inside of the device. Inside the plastics, you don't actually see the antenna, but it is an actual external antenna that sits off the PCBA and attaches right to the module. We're also using a Broadcom chip on the new product. The new Broadcom module is a much stronger module. On the first product, we were kind of relying on the sources of our factory to kind of select the Wi-Fi module that was being used. The module actually was actually a pretty good module, but it was the antenna issue on the earlier devices that we had a problem with. So the question is, so we're paying for your education, or our Sleeks will never meet expectations. Now you want our money to do it right. No, I don't think you're paying for our education. We basically built a product that we felt it was the best to the ability that we could build it. And if your product is not working as well as it should be, we're happy to replace it or even give you a new product and replace it with a new one. So the server and speech, the question is there no way to reprogram the existing product to improve performance with these new understandings? We answered this question earlier, but we are going to look at taking the older hardware, the Sleeks, and make them backwards compatible. once we have the new ivee voice product working. So that's going to be in 2016. But we're a small team, so we have to prioritize our resources right now and focus on the new product. And once we have that up and running, we're going to then make it backwards compatible with the older products. The question is, since the ivee Sleek is software driven, I can't see why it can't be updated to differentiate weekdays from weekends and have a command to shut down weekend wake up. You're correct in saying that it is software driven and it is possible to do that. But right now we're not focusing on the ivee Sleek until the ivee voice is completed. The question is, what is the expectation of the new software with regard to a loss of network connection? Regard to a loss of network connection has to do with the hardware. If you would like, we can definitely look to swap that out for you. If you want to send an email to hello@helloivee and reference this webinar, we'll be happy to help you with that. Guess that's no more questions. Ben, do you want to say anything about the quality of the product and kind of where we're at with hardware and talk a little bit? Give me 1 second. I have to grab a charger.
Absolutely. So we really focused on quality this time around. We've taken a lot of our learnings from the last time and gone for the experience and expertise of very high-end firms in the Valley to help design and implement the new device. We're currently nearing to an engineering sample for our new device, which basically will be able to start testing it and start passing it to a new factory to basically mass production. In terms of the software, Jim can answer some more questions about where we're at with the software.
Sure. So like Ben said, we are really focusing on building a much better product this time around. We have learned quite a bit from the way that we've designed the software in the ivee Sleek, and with that, we're moving to a different approach. We're using different services and different outside systems that allow us to have a much better recognition rate. So to start with the trigger. One big learning that we found is that the trigger Hello Ivee actually doesn't work quite well, as in it has a lot of false positives. So as you might notice, it sometimes will trigger even if you have not said Hello Ivee. So we've gone with a different approach to sensing the trigger, one that's a lot more accurate, and we've changed the trigger phrase to be okay Ivee. And just to kind of fill you in on why there's a difference there. So when you say hello Ivee, there's a lot of vowel sounds. And those, depending on how you say it, how quickly you say it, can actually be confused with a lot of other words. So in the next system, we've gone with okay Ivee, and that has all it has the Y in there, which actually separates those two words. So you say okay Ivee, that actually gives you a natural gap in those words, which gives us a better recognition rate. And then once we do actually get that trigger, we now stream that audio up to our servers and do our processing in the cloud. That allows us to do a lot better, a lot faster, and a lot more accurate recognition services. Also allows us to use different providers than just systems that allow us to be on the actual clock itself. And then finally, we've come up with a better system to actually return a result. So at this point, you'll be able to add many more services, and it'll scale to handle many more users than the current system does. faster and a lot more accurate recognition services. Also allows us to use different providers than just.
So to answer one of the questions,
and then finally we come up with a better system that actually returns. So
one of the questions is that it's hard to invest in a new product at this point, since it seems like basic functionality of a regular alarm clock is not even complete. So I think, as Jonathan mentioned previously, right now our focus is to bring voice to the home, and the Sleek as an alarm clock is something which is not our main focus right now, but it's something we're going to come back to. We really want to deliver the best possible voice solution to the consumers and to customers like you, based on the learnings that we had on the alarm clock.
So to talk to Jeff, who asks, what risks do you have with this iteration? Well, there are lots of risks for doing hardware. One common phrase that's a little silly is called "hardware is hard," and that's mostly because you don't know what's gone wrong until after you already have the device built. So a lot of risks could be. I should say that we don't actually know what's going to go wrong, and that's the biggest risk. With the last device, there are a few big issues that we ended up not being able to really fix because of the way that the hardware was built. So we're using all those learnings and all the different procedures that we built around designing that last hardware, and we're building and fixing those in this new iteration.
I think we've taken a lot of steps to mitigate risk this time around. Again, by choosing partners that have experience in our field, and again, taking the learnings and the things that went wrong last time and making sure they don't go wrong this time. So we're taking a lot of emphasis on mitigating those risks.
Going on to Joe. Says, ivee always seems to respond when I call out to my wife named Heidi. Yeah, this is definitely something that we know. Now, I've been here on the team for about 6 months now, and one of the first things I did was take one of the Sleeks home and plug it in. And I know that the trigger is and can be an issue. And like I said, a lot of that has to do with the words that we chose, the hello ivee. Now, unfortunately, with the way that the older software was designed, we can't actually change that trigger. Just from a technology perspective, that trigger is actually local to the device. So one of the things that we try really hard not to do, and that we refuse to do, is constantly stream your audio up to the server. Yeah, I think everybody agrees that there would be some privacy issues if we were always listening, always streaming that audio up to the server. So we have to have a technology that runs locally to the device and runs in an environment where it's very low power and very low processing power. So with the new product, we are changing it to the OK ivee, which in our tests so far have shown that we have a much better hit rate on that trigger.
Jeff, another point I wanted to reach out about your question about the risks. We've actually moved on to we're working with a really strong design house based in San Jose, and these guys have built products for Nest, August Locks, and they're exceptional. And so the boards that we actually just got out of prototype are working much better than where we were even at with the original ivee Sleek. So that's also reassuring as well.
If we go on to the next question from Bernie, it says, I've been doing home automation as a hobby for more than 20 years. What type of interface will you have with the voice? Is it closed, or will it only work with certain systems? No, one of my goals that I had when I came on as a lead engineer here is to open that up. So during our new development, we are taking into consideration what it would look like for third parties or developers like you to actually integrate with the system. So there are two ways that we're going to do this. First, and our first release is going to have integration with a service called If This Then That, which is pretty common and works with a lot of other systems. The way it works is you can just say trigger, some word, and it'll go off and it'll go through any recipes you have set up with IFT, which is ifthisthenthat.com. So that'll be our first API system. Now we are going to expand it from there. We want to allow developers to get very creative with the way that we integrate new triggers. Now, the way you do that is actually quite complicated, because when you do a voice recognition system of this sort, it's not always just pure speech to text. Meaning the computer doesn't always just say exactly what you have told it. You need to train it a little bit. You need to have certain grammar, certain phrases that it can understand and prefer to other phrases. So we're still trying to figure out exactly how that interface would look, and how you'd be able to say, turn on my lawnmower if we haven't actually integrated with that lawnmower specifically. So we are open to ideas about what that interface would look like. But again, we're going to launch with IFT, and I think that will cover a majority of use cases that we've thought about. So Jonathan, maybe you can take this question about time. Joe asked, will a new product understand a do not disturb time? Will there be the weekend off switch for an alarm?
Yeah, that's a feature that will be included.
Okay. The next question from Jeffrey is, will the new software have an OpenSSH port as the current Sleek does? Now, that was a port that was there for debugging and for modifying things. Ideally, in the actual product, that wouldn't be there for security reasons. But we are going to be looking into opening it up and providing APIs for you to actually get into it and start modifying it. If you can give us a specific reason on what you'd like to do and why you would like a prompt on your device, we'd be happy to think about that.
Jeffrey, did you want to comment? You would like to use that?
Great. Yeah, I'm a geek at heart as well, and I love playing around with APIs. Not only do I have home automation stuff myself at home, but I also have lots of friends who've all hacked together their own systems using lights that you can buy for $10 on the internet. And so we're definitely looking to expand that, and that's one of the things that we'd like to focus on. And giving power to power users who want to really customize everything in their home. So to talk about some of the services that we'll be again launching with the next system, maybe Jonathan, you want to take that?
Sure. So we're going to support the systems that we currently support. We're actually going to go deeper on each of the systems and platforms and take a lot of the comments that we received in our community section and implement them and roll them into the new platform. So to kind of elaborate on that a little bit, SmartThings, for example, was one platform that was just very lightly touched. You could only talk to the smart plugs on that system and do binary commands, so you really couldn't take advantage of a lot of the capabilities that SmartThings had to offer. One of the things that we want to do on the next platform is actually go deeper onto each of these systems. One of the other features that's going to be very cool and exciting is the scene command and doing voice scenes. So you can basically define what a scene name is and speak it, and then it kind of runs a macro of different things all at once. For example, you can say movie time, and movie time would turn on the TV, lower the blinds, set the thermostat to certain degrees, and it would talk to multiple platforms and systems all at the same time.
Next question is from Bernie. Now, how do you compare with the new Amazon Echo, and what will be your price point? Echo already interfaces with some home automation systems. How will yours be different?
I'll take that question. That's a great question, Bernie. So Echo is obviously a product. We believe that their education of the market, it's becoming a rising tide for voice interfaces in the home. It's a huge space. It's a huge market. There's a huge opportunity to really differentiate. For example, Amazon has a lot of Amazon services, so they're not necessarily going to work with services that compete with their own products. So, for example, Amazon Fresh, it's a grocery delivery service, and the Amazon Echo might not necessarily work with Instacart, which is also a grocery delivery service. We're also talking with retailers like Walmart.com to provide ordering services through voice through their platforms. The Amazon Echo wouldn't obviously be used with a Walmart platform or system. So it's a big world. There's a lot of opportunity to kind of differentiate, and our price point is actually going to be announced next week when we launch the Indiegogo campaign on Tuesday. It's also going to be lower. I'll tell you that much. But we're going to make the announcement next Tuesday.
Yeah, just to jump in there as well. Our aim is to really play nice with multiple devices and multiple services. It's really about bringing breadth and variation for the consumers rather than having a closed kind of environment. And we really want an open environment and try and get as many partners in as possible.
Yeah, being open and flexible is very important. Also, multi-room support is a feature that is really important for us. Being able to put multiple devices in the same room and have them all listening to you, or multiple devices in different rooms. And so if I have two ivees in the same room, if you have two Echoes today in the same room, you talk to them, they're both going to start talking to you, and they don't actually know that each other exists. The new ivee, when you have two in the same room, it's actually going to have software running locally on the device that's going to be analyzing the audio signal coming into the device, and only the one that hears you the loudest is actually going to proceed and talk back to you. So we have what we call collision support. And then we also at home, so you could have one device in the bedroom, one device in the kitchen, one in your family room. And that will allow you to kind of add voice throughout your entire home.
Yeah, and the end vision is to have a ubiquitous voice experience rather than the focal point of voice. You want to be able to just go around your home and speak, and things are happening. It's definitely about the ubiquitous voice.
So if we go back to the concept of scenes, Bernie's asking, he asked that he would rather have scenes in his controllers. He can trigger them with other devices, with a keypad or a phone. So Jonathan, maybe you can talk about how you envision the ivee working with other devices, like a mobile device and other controllers.
Yeah, Bernie, when you say controller, are you talking about like your phone as a controller? Is that kind of how you're?
I believe that's what he's asking about, using his phone or a keypad.
Yeah, the phone is still your touch interface in your life. I mean, it's your way that you're able to basically you connect ivee to other different devices and platforms. So you still need to use the phone to set up ivee, connect your to your network, and then also pair to these different services and devices out there. And so if you want to use your phone and pull it out of your pocket and hit a button, you can do that. But voice allows you to not have to have that friction. You know, voice is the enabler. It's the way that you could just walk around your home and just speak freely and have these things happen for you. Your next question, will it act as an intercom as well? That would be cool. That's something that we're going to hopefully surprise you with in a couple days. We're not going to say yes or no at this time.
We have about 20 minutes left on our event here. John, maybe you want to talk a little bit about the timing for the new Indiegogo campaign and the show and things that are coming next.
So as far as timing goes, next Tuesday, the Indiegogo is going to launch of the new product. And a week after that, the TV show is going to launch, which will explain to you in further detail what we've kind of been doing the last 5 months in an hour episode. It's on the Sci-Fi Network. It airs at 10 p.m., 9 Central. It's on September 22nd. So we hope you guys all tune in to watch it. And then our focus between then and between now and until next to the end of the year is going to be completing the product and going through DFM, which means design for manufacturing. So we have to go through the various manufacturing gates to get the product at a stage where it can actually be mass produced, so that we can deliver the new ivee.
Bernie, you're talking about a question about your home automation boxes. I have not heard about that universal device before, but I will definitely now go look into it. If you want to email me and kind of tell me about your setup, we'd love to hear about it and love to be able to build in support for those systems. So you can either email hello@helloivee.com, or you can email me personally, JECortez, CORTEZ, @helloivee.com.
Yeah, you guys can always email any of us. Always our first name at helloivee.com. I'm Jonathan at helloivee.com. Jim's Jim at helloivee.com, and Ben's Ben at helloivee.com. And we'd be happy to, the point of this was we really want to start to build a relationship with our early adopters and our top customers. We know you guys love voice recognition and you love home automation as much as we do. We want the Jarvis experience. We want that futuristic lifestyle experience where you could be freely talking to your home and have your home talk back to you, and just be able to live a life like Tony Stark. So we're very excited to be talking to you guys, and we're happy to answer any other questions.
Yeah, and just going back a little bit to the differentiation piece. We're definitely all hardware geeks. We love gadgets. That's kind of why we're all here. And we definitely want to integrate with as much as possible. So you're talking about the ISY box. It's definitely something I'm going to look into right after this call and see what we can do, what we can integrate with, and how we can really plug into those systems. Personally, I'd like to tinker with everything. I've got multiple Raspberry Pis and Arduinos set up around the house, doing nothing that's really practical, but is a lot more fun for my usage. So it's something that we're definitely looking into. So if you have ideas, you have really cool features you'd like to see, please reach out to us. Please email us, and we'll definitely start working those into the new product.
I think there's a little bit of a delay on the.
Yeah, there's like a 30-second delay on the live stream, and
I think it's even a little bit longer than 30 seconds. But
you're watching yourself back.
And just let everybody know this is our first hangout live, so there have been a few friction points. So talk a little bit more about some of the home automation pieces. The new device, we've really scaled back all the hardware components that are in the device. So one big decision that we've made that really impacts a lot of the home automation stuff is to go Wi-Fi only, which means there's no Bluetooth or Zigbee or any other radios other than Wi-Fi on the device. And just to kind of give you a little bit of a background of why that we made that decision. Up until maybe a couple of years ago, it was probably a lot better to have all the devices on your hub, to have your Zigbee, to have, I don't know any of the other ones, that X11, I guess it's kind of old now, Z-Wave. But one big trend that's really started is that all these devices have their own hubs. They all make their own way to the internet. And so a way to scale much faster is to, instead of using these proprietary, sometimes poorly implemented standards, we actually just use the APIs from each one of the different manufacturers. While that may seem a little bit slower, it ends up actually being a lot faster for development, a lot faster to get new features out the door in terms of interfacing with new hardware devices. So we can implement a new API interface to another device much quicker than we can go in and try to reverse engineer or try to figure out how a specific device uses a different radio standard. So that's definitely something we're looking to move to in the future.
I have a question for everyone who's still watching. What is your most popular used smart home device that you use every day? Is it a platform or is it a point solution? Bernie, thank you very much for your comment. Really appreciate that. And
what happened? Yeah, so most popular devices that you guys use are around the home. Great to hear some feedback, and yeah. And
a lot of the feedback that I've heard from lots of my friends who have this stuff is a lot of people use Philips Hue lights. Smart Things is definitely a big piece. So we do already have an implementation of an interface with the Hue lights in the existing product, and we're going to continue and expand that for the next product, as well as expand our integration with Smart Things and Wemo as well. And try to expand which devices we can actually control and which ones we can interface with, and expand that out from just lights to other things.
Yeah, I think a lot of our future expansion within the team will be focused on those kind of partnerships and building them technically, and going out and finding those partnerships and building those relationships with the manufacturers, so we can get a big, broad array of devices on board.
are there any questions that anyone would like to answer before we have to wrap up here? Jeffrey, thanks for the suggestion. Okay, Ivy, good night. Smart Things night mode trigger would be awesome. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think just to kind of expand on that, we've definitely talked in-house in our product meetings about how to kind of combine several different features into one. And I think doing a good night mode would be really cool and allow you to kind of choose what would turn off and what would turn on.
Yeah, and I think as well, it's like routines are something we've explored. Having a routine, something you don't have to think about. You just say a word, okay, good night, and then something happens. That's something we're actively exploring. But again, it comes down to resources. So that's why you want to have a successful campaign, build the team out, and continue to grow, and then have those things that you guys need and want. I guess as well, apart from home automation, there's also services that we'll be integrating with. It'd be great to hear any feedback on what services would be useful to you. 2 services that we'll be integrating with would be Uber and Spotify. So it'd be great to hear any other suggestions on services that will be useful and add value to your routines in your daily life. Nope.
All right, so Jonathan, you want to kind of wrap up and we can sign off?
Absolutely. So thank you guys, everyone, for tuning in today and watching. If you have any other questions, just feel free to send any one of us an email. Again, my email is jonathan@helloivee.com. Ben is ben@helloivee.com, and Jim is jim@helloivee.com. And like we mentioned earlier, we would be happy to answer any other questions for you offline. We are here to support and to make this transition to the new product as seamless and easy as possible. We're really excited about the new product. It's going to be incredible, and a lot of years and a lot of sweat and a lot of energy has been poured into this new product, as well as a lot of money. And so we're excited and thankful for you guys to support us, and we look forward to sharing more about the new product next week.
There's another question.
Yeah,
so the one question Bernie has about the elder care market and the feature, and so the elder care market is definitely a market that we're going to be build a set of features for. We're going to announce more capabilities about those features next week, and you'll be able to see more question. You'll be able to see more information about that next week.
So yeah, just keep an eye out for our new Indiegogo campaign, and like Jonathan said, please send us any emails. I believe we're also on Facebook and Twitter and Google+. So if you have any social network, I'm sure you can find us at the Hello Ivee handle.
Yeah, and as well, we're very grateful for your continued support and for believing in what we're trying to achieve. We hope the next product lives up to your expectations, and again, we're open to any suggestions, and anytime you guys need to talk and ask questions, feel free to email us or reach out to us on any different channel. But we are very grateful for your support and continued support. So,
all right. So thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Thanks to the 10 people out there watching. Bye.
Take care.